Hey everyone, welcome to Feelings with the Geekiary. I'm Erin. I'm here with our admin Angel.
Hi.
Jamie and Fareed. Hello.
Hi.
We're fans. We have feelings, and this is where we webcast about them. And this is our Infinity War special. Woo! So welcome. We're not going to do all the reminders, but I am going to do the disclaimer because we're probably going to need that for this webcast.
There's going to be some F-bombs.
So we would like to remind all of you that the views expressed on this webcast are those of us as individuals and do not necessarily represent the Geekiary or the webcast itself as a whole. Yeah, we're probably going to have like some swears. Sorry.
I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah, and this is all happening live, so we're hoping not for technical difficulties, but there may be. We can't control it, so it's fine. So let's just dive right in.
Also, spoilers, obviously.
Oh yeah. I want to put that in here too. Yes, we will be talking obviously about Infinity War, so spoiler alert. Yeah. So how are we all doing? It's been about a week now. So how are we doing?
I'm still broken. Reading all the fix-it fic that I can. Particularly Bucky fix-it fic. My coworkers got me a condolence card about Bucky. Like they literally went across the street and bought like a condolence card that you get people when they've lost a loved one. And put R.I.P. Bucky in it and then gave it to me at work. That's how I'm doing.
I'm okay.
I have the same reaction here.
Yeah, I really think I need to see it again because like I didn't absorb anything. I just sort of like reacted. But I'm poor. And Movie Pass now doesn't let you see the same movie twice, so I have to wait until I have money till I can see it again. But
yeah. I'm just meh. It was meh. I watched it. I wasted like 2 and something hours of my life, and I was like, meh.
We have diversity of opinion here.
I should have waited for the second part.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Obviously my heart broke with Loki, but whatever, it's fine. Yeah. So, I mean, what did we generally think about the film though? I mean, for me personally, like I thought it was technically like a great film. It was obviously like one of those blockbuster. It definitely had that feel, but I wasn't overwhelmed by it as much as I think other people were. So what did you guys all think?
It's hard for me. I wrote this in my review too because I wrote the review on the website, but it's hard for me to judge the quality of the film because I'm so emotional about it. And so I'm very upfront about the fact that, is it a good film? I don't know, because I'm so emotionally damaged that I can't, like, step back and separate myself. If the goal of the film was to emotionally shatter us, it succeeded, with me at least. So if that was the goal, good job. But, like, judging the narrative, like, judging its structure, judging cinematography, I can't separate enough to be neutral on that.
Like I said, I didn't really absorb a whole lot about it because I was just sort of reacting to everything. But I thought it was funny. And I think I mentioned this in the doc later down, but whatever. But I thought it was funny, and I think they did a pretty good job of like balancing screen time, which I'm sure was super hard to do. But I also like that they focused on Thanos because they've been building him up for so long that to have him come in and just be like the bad guy would have been awful. I don't necessarily agree with him, obviously, but I think that they did a good job of like giving him purpose more so than just evil. So I like that.
I mean, I agree with Jamie. I was impressed. Like, I liked how they were able to distribute the screen time because there were a lot of characters in the film and they did justice to that. The fight sequences were fun, especially the Thanos versus Iron Man fight at that planet I forgot the name of. But Titan, where Iron Man's suit was adapting itself to fight Thanos quickly, like there was a booster leg kick and then he created a shield. That was good. The CGI was good, except for that floaty Bruce Banner head in the Hulkbuster right at the end. That was weird. Like they have a Hulkbuster and then they have Bruce's face on it. Like that looked weird. But yeah, the fighting was good. In a narrative sense, like I didn't like Thanos as a villain because coming from the comic books, over in the comic books, his motivation to kill people or kill so much is because he wants to impress Death, who he thinks of as his girlfriend. So that would have felt more understandable as far as the comic book genre is concerned, because the whole I want to cut the population in half to make a paradise, that didn't resonate with me as much. I was like, why don't you just wish that people become sterile or something? Why are you killing half of the population? You're killing doctors, you're killing accountants, you're killing people from the government who run, who basically run planets. But yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, according to that website, I would have died. I perished. So
I died too.
Thanos.
I didn't.
What was that website URL again? Did Thanos kill you or something.com?
ThanosKill.me.
Oh, did Thanos kill.me? Yeah. I died. You died, Aaron?
Yeah.
Jamie, did you die?
No. I'm going to make a t-shirt.
Which means that now you're head admin of the Geek Gear. Did you die?
I didn't check. I didn't care enough.
On your promotion, Jamie.
But yeah, Thanos, I didn't like him as a villain. They literally, like the Black Order, the Black Order is so amazing and such a force to be reckoned with in the comic books. And they just got rid of the Black Order in a single film, which felt weird. But yeah, I have issues with this film, which I'll talk about in the problem section. But yeah, basically, CGI was good. The fact that they were able to give each character something to do, that was good. The jokes made sense, and that was good, especially when the different characters played off each other. But other than that, storytelling-wise, narrative-wise, yeah, it could have been a lot better.
Can I just say, if speaking of how good the fight scenes were, that Bucky lifting up a rocket was like the best moment in the entire like fight sequence. I just want to throw that out there. There's been fan art turning out about that moment, and it's been glorious.
I'm just happy that Rocket made a thing about the arm.
Yes, I'm gonna get that.
That was all I like. I needed that interaction, and they did it. So thank you.
This is probably really lame, but for some reason I really loved it, and because I love Thor, he's my fave. And when he was calling Rocket like the rabbit, I was like, yes, this is amazing. Oh well, that's fine.
Have you seen the thing? Speaking of that, that's like a image macro, and it's like choose your fighter, and it's all the different things that people have called Rocket,
yes,
like Trash Panda and Rabbit, and I can't remember what else. But...
Yeah,
it's good. I retweeted it, so it's somewhere on my Twitter. You just have to scroll past like 100 posts about volcano that's happening in my state right now, and then you find that. We're sorry.
It's kind of a big deal.
A little bit.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the problems, because I do. Freed's just gonna take this over here in a minute, but there were some very big problems in the film, and I didn't add anything to this document, so I'm just kind of speaking from my heart. But for me, like, the biggest problem I had was that Gamora had to die, you know, and who knows if she's coming back. We're going to speculate later, but like, Gamora was the heart and soul of this film, and like, that was the worst part for me. So what do you all think? What were some of the problems you have?
I mean, that was a statement that I had. Like, is it fridging if your dad kills you and then also feels bad about it? But
That's a good point, because the definition of fridging is just when a woman is killed to further the story of a man. I mean, I think I kind of cut off some of the words there, but that's generally what it is. So technically, I guess it is. But I
mean, fans are saying that Gamora's death is going to lead to Nebula playing a larger role in part 2. So you can't really call it fridging because it's like progressing Nebula's story.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But I wasn't expecting her to die because she was played up a lot in the promotions. She narrated most of the trailer. She was also in a poster, but she died, and I was like, oh yeah, you're so stupid. I mean, the moment she started to talk to Thanos about it, I was like, Gamora, what are you doing? You need to run. He's going to kill you, obviously.
Like, no monologue, that's when they get you.
She just didn't think he had the capacity to love. Oh.
Gamora has never watched any superhero films ever, so...
I mean, that would actually make sense because I don't think Gamora is the type of a character who watches TV, intergalactic TV, or she reads books. She doesn't know about fridging. She doesn't know about these tropes. She doesn't know about not monologuing in front of the villain.
She doesn't know about tropes.
We need to get Deadpool in there and start dropping these tropes on people. Like, no, you're monologuing. Let's not do that.
But yeah, problems. My turn, my list. So the first thing that I want to say is, I mean, we saw Scarlet Witch in Avengers. Then we saw her in Age of Ultron. We also had her in Civil War. And then in this film, like, what are her powers even? She's basically a walking MacGuffin. Like, the writers can make her do anything, and there are no rules surrounding her powers, and it just makes Wanda feel like a tool, a plot device, rather than an actual character with powers. Like, oh, we have these giant wheels with saws, which are like grinding people on the ground. Let's send Wanda out so that she can destroy them. And I'm like, okay, so Wanda has that much power. Oh, we need to destroy the Infinity Stone. Let's send Wanda out there. And I'm like, what is even Wanda? Like,
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. Now, full disclosure, I have not read any of the comics, so I don't know anything really. However, I have some good friends that are big comic fans, and they were like, that was their biggest problem with the film, was the treatment of Scarlet Witch. It's like, she has the power, at least in the comic canon, to defeat all of this, and she's just not there. She's like all lovey-dovey with Vision, which I don't understand that whole relationship anyway, but I do think
I mean, great, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I do think, however, that Elizabeth Olsen is probably the weakest link in the casting, and I think that they just don't know what to do with her because she can't, like, that's like all she can do. And so maybe
I thought
that's
she did
the
pretty
reason.
well in this with what they gave her.
Fair enough.
I mean, they didn't give her much, but I thought
I want them to. I want them to give them more. I mean, okay, I have problems with how Halle Berry portrayed Storm in the X-Men, but at least we know what Storm's powers are, even though she doesn't do much in the films. But as far as Wanda as a character is concerned, she doesn't necessarily have an arc. She's just there. She's kind of a wild card, and I'm like, Wanda, you can't even call yourself an Avenger right now, because basically she can kill the team if she wants to, but I mean, I would rather have a good explanation about her powers. Is it magic? Is it telekinesis? Like, what is her power even? We don't know. Yeah, that's a problem. And then as far as you talking about the Olsen, the actress who plays her, have you watched her some of her interviews when she's talking about Wanda?
No.
She knows nothing about the character. She literally knows nothing. People were like, Elizabeth, would you like a solo movie? And she was like, no, I won't like a solo movie. And then a few days later, she's like, oh, yes, I would like a solo movie because there's an entire House of M comic book series out there. And we were like, Wanda, Elizabeth, you literally know nothing about Wanda. And then she did this whole controversial piece about wanting Wanda to not show skin because her uniform is the only female uniform that's like showing some chest, and she doesn't want cleavage shown. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the point that you're like fighting about. Why aren't you fighting with the writers to make your character better? And then again, it's
Black
a Disney.
Widow show some cleavage in some of the other ones?
I don't know. I think when she's undercover, she is.
Okay, because I'm trying to remember her leather suit from the first Avengers, and I was like, there was a deep V in that.
I think it was just very like tight.
Tight, yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, and then the next problem that I have, no, I mean, if you guys want to talk about it, you can, because I have a whole list.
No, please do. Like I said, I didn't really get to like think about it that much because I was just sort of like reacting to everything. I would need to see it again to really be like.
I was so bored with the film that I was like absorbing everything. They did this wrong. They did this wrong because it was such a boring film to me.
Okay, before we go on to the next thing you have on the list, I want to add one more thing because it does kind of have to do with the whole Scarlet Witch Vision storyline, which to me, like, the worst part of the whole film was the whole Vision storyline. Like, they went to Wakanda to like try to remove the stone without losing Vision's humanity or whatever, and I was like, what a freaking waste of time. What is happening? Like, it took me so far out of the storyline that I was just like, at that point, that's when I was like, this movie just went from like really great to just like totally unbelievable.
Well, I think they needed an excuse to not have Vision and Scarlet Witch do anything because they're obviously powerful enough that they could like take care of it. So narratively, there needed to be a reason like that they're not doing anything. So they came up with that.
I'll be the lone Wanda defender. She needs someone on this webcast to defend her.
I like her.
But I like her. And I can kind of understand her relationship with Vision because Wanda, she had a very sheltered life with her brother. She doesn't know normal like human social interaction, and then she finally meets someone that she can relate to. Like, they can relate because of their powers, like, and so she latches on. It's not necessarily the most mature and in-depth relationship, but for Wanda, who's coming from a place of like not having a lot of experience, to me it makes sense. I mean, there you go, Wanda, someone's defended you on this webcast.
I like her. I didn't say I didn't like her.
Yeah, no, and I don't think it's all like her fault. I think like the whole Avengers, like all of them that were involved in that, like it just seemed unbelievable to me. So I don't know.
They needed an excuse to go to Wakanda and get Bucky. Like that's.
Yep.
I mean, I like the Bucky part, obviously, but yeah.
I mean, the fact that they went to Wakanda, this is another issue that I had. I mean, they took Vision to Wakanda and then they made T'Challa and his army fight their war with Thanos, which basically looked like these Wakandan, like Africans fighting to save one single android who presents himself as a white male. And I'm like, what is happening? I mean, literally, there's a whole thing about self-sacrificing as a hero, and Digimon, and even a lot of anime and cartoons, even Avatar and even Korra, like heroes need to be self-sacrificing. But no, Scarlet Witch won't kill Vision. However, she's happy with killing how many? I mean, thousands of Wakandans must have died in that war, just to save one single android. If I was Shuri, I would have done something. I would have killed Vision when he was like lying on my, what was it, a scientific table or bed or whatever it was. If I was Shuri, I would have like, like switched him off. I would be like, oh, it's done. He's dead.
It's like, can I just like pull this out? Is that just gonna like if I pick at it?
Oh, I did an accident. I'm a young girl. I'm not trained enough. I killed him. but I mean, like thousands of Wakandans had to die with Vision. Now, I would have been okay with this like whole thing if Wanda hadn't killed Vision at the end. I mean, if Wanda was okay with killing Vision, why didn't she do it earlier? Why didn't she do it earlier and then cried about it for the rest of the movie?
She wasn't okay with it though. Like the whole point of her arc was that she couldn't. Yeah, at the last minute.
I mean, but she still did it. She should have done it sooner, or someone should have.
That was the whole point of her arc, though, is that she couldn't do it. And
it made no sense.
And then defending her.
And then Wanda was so powerful enough that with one hand she was like destroying the Mind Stone, and then with the other hand she was like literally pushing Thanos back. And I was like, Wanda, you need to use the hand you're using to destroy the Mind Stone and direct it towards Thanos, and then like destroy this man with both of your hands. Like she's basically powerful enough. I mean, if with one hand she can like push him back, just imagine what she could do with two hands. And I was like, Wanda, use your other hand.
Speaking of Shuri, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna keep laughing unless I break this up a little. Speaking of Shuri, the fact that we don't know her status breaks my heart.
My assumption is that if they were mentioned or shown and then weren't shown at the end turning into dust, then they're probably okay.
Yeah. Because I have a theory that Shuri is probably going to take up the Black Panther mantle like she does in the comic books.
Oh, I like that idea.
Just for a little bit.
Fanfic seems to, I'm going on fanfic, that's where I'm living right now. But fanfic seems to think that Shuri's alive and that her and like Cap will bond about their losses. So I'm gonna live in my happy little fanfic world where that's happening. So
I mean, in the end, thousands of Wakandans had to die because Scarlet Witch couldn't destroy her like boyfriend robot or something. I mean, I didn't like that whole scene. It was weird. And then she destroyed the Mind Stone, and then Thanos reversed the time, and I was like, wow, Scarlet, wow, Wanda, you had one job, Wanda. And you couldn't even do that right. You had one job. There's a reason you aren't an official Avenger right now. You can't even do one job. Okay. And then the next thing, enough about Wanda. I mean, I like her as a character. I like her in the comic books because that's why I want to see her do more in the films, because I like her. And she's like the mother of Wiccan, who's a part of the Young Avengers, and yeah, I want to see more. But anyway, moving on. The whole Thanos. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Thanos only wanted to halfen the population of only Earth, right?
No,
I thought it was the universe. Yeah.
But then again, the universe sector that he's talking about, which universe? Because I
would assume everything.
No, how many universes? Like the MCU has a lot of universes. Earth, the universe in which Earth is situated, I don't think it's the same universe where Gamora is from, or Drax is from, or even Rocket Raccoon is from. That's a different universe, or something.
Yeah, in the MCU, I don't think they've really explored that part of it. In the MCU, I think we're made to just assume that they're different planets within the same universe. Even Thor, I mean, they start talking about the 9 realms, but they don't really get into it being different universes or anything. It's just the assumption in the MCU is that it's like planets.
I agree with that, and I think Shield is Agents of Shield is a perfect example of that extension, because apparently they mentioned the Infinity War fallout on this past episode of Agents of Shield. So yeah, I think I agree with you.
I mean, but still, why is he killing Drax? It's not like Drax want to have babies and like increase the population.
I don't think he has control over who dies. I just
random, I think.
Yeah, it's just 50% of everybody.
Oh, okay. So that's what I read about the fan theory about the Infinity Stones being racist, because even though it's random, they took out all of the colored leads, and
oh Lord.
I read it
They left
online, and I was like, oh, that's the point. Like they took away Falcon, they took away T'Challa. Like they took away the colored people because the Infinity Stones basically like the white Avengers, and they only like the colored Avengers to be supporting, but not the leads. But yeah, that was fun to see. I was like, oh.
Well, I'm miffed that they took. I did think it was weird that it's like that it took Drax, because didn't his planet already get? Like, I know it's supposed to be random throughout the entire universe, but it's like, you'd think that whatever magic was doing it would be like, hey, this guy already had half of his planet get, like, destroyed. Maybe we can leave him alone. But no.
I mean, that was the point. Like, even though it's 50%, like, the 50% they're taking out, it's not making sense to me. But anyway, we can chalk that down to, like, poor writing or something, or they just wanted to get rid of the entire Guardians of the Galaxy because they didn't want them to be a huge part of, Infinity Wars 2, because they wanted to focus more on
Rocket. I think only Rocket survived, right?
Yeah.
Well, and believe it or not, my brother actually has a very interesting theory about this. And you have to understand, he is not right about most things, and also has no comics experience. So take this with a grain of salt. But it actually is kind of interesting. He thinks that the reason that those particular people were turned to dust is because they are going to an alternate universe, which I think kind of has some canon like reference in it, which is great. But he's like, this is the separation of the MCU, the old Avengers, and then all of the new stories. So like Captain America, all those people, their stories are kind of coming to an end. And now we're focusing on the new people. And so he thinks that the universes are actually going to stay separate. And that it's just going to be like all focused. I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but it's an interesting theory to think about.
Breaking my Bucky and Steve apart. No.
Too confusing.
I don't think they'll be separate, but I think that the original Avengers, since we assume that Hawkeye is okay, so all of the original Avengers are okay. So I would assume that in the second movie that there's going to be some sort of like that most of them, or even all of them, although not Black Widow before she gets her solo movie, I would be very upset. I assume that they would die in some sort of sacrifice to get everybody back.
Steve and
maybe
Tony
not in
sure.
that. Yeah.
Like,
definitely Steve. Yeah.
I would put good money on them. One of them, if not both of them, going. I've been bracing myself for Steve to die for a long time, though. Like lots of movies, and he just keeps surviving. I thought he was going to die in this one, but no, they took Bucky instead.
Yeah,
Thanks.
well, because I remember that Chris Evans only has a 6-picture contract, so that's why I assumed he would die at the end of this one. And then he didn't, and I'm like, oh, he's going to die in the next one.
But Sebastian Stan has 9.
Yeah,
9
well, my
films.
theory was that Chris Evans, that Steve would die, and then Bucky would become Captain America. But because Sebastian Stan has said that he doesn't think Bucky's ready for that, so perhaps they can give it to Sam.
Because in the comic books, Sam took it. In the comic book, Sam took it. But anyway, moving on, there's a whole fandom thing about Thanos loving Gamora, and it relates to the fridging thing. Like, that wasn't love, even though he was crying after killing her. That wasn't love. That was abuse. And I would want this film to, like, call him out on it. Like, I had to kill Gamora. She was the only thing that I love. Like, that's not love. That was abuse. He might think that he loves her, but that didn't look like love to me. Like, he basically killed his adopted daughter for his own means. Like, it felt weird, and they wasted Gamora in this film. Maybe Zoe Saldana needs to go to who are making the Avatar movies? Paramount?
Disney.
Or Disney. Yeah, maybe she needs to go there to shoot the Avatar movies, so that's why they killed her.
She's got 3 Avatar movies coming out.
Yeah, Zoe needs to
do all this.
Speaking of the Avatar movies, James Cameron is like hoping, he said like in an interview that he's hoping that this will be the end of like comic book movies, and like there's too many of them. But then people are like, you have like 3 Avatar movies coming out. Like, maybe you shouldn't be talking. But anyway, that's a tangent. I just thought that was kind of funny and hypocritical on his behalf.
It's like, oh, how dare people enjoy something?
That's not mine. Basically.
My thing with the Thanos thing is that I'm sort of hoping that that's a thing that comes up in the next movie with Nebula. Like, they could have done it in this one, but I think they had to focus on the fight, and so I really hope that comes up.
I mean, the thing that I don't like is that the Russo brothers gave a recent interview about, no, it's true that Thanos really loves Gamora. And I'm like, no, Russo brothers, you shouldn't be saying that. That's not love. Like, that's not something you need to be telling the audience, that no, that Thanos loves his daughter. And yeah, the Russo brothers need to check themselves a bit. But yeah, anyway, maybe, do you think that Gamora will be back? Especially if Zoe goes to shoot the Avatar films?
I'm torn. Because on the one hand, I think that the deaths from pre-snap are more likely to be permanent. But on the other, I know that in the comic story, she's just trapped in the Soul Stone. Or not trapped, but she's in the Soul Stone. So I think it could go either way. I'm not sure which way they'll go.
Apparently.
I mean, that's been confirmed by the Russo brothers as well, that Gamora is stuck in the Soul Stone. That's why they showed that scene with Thanos talking to little Gamora at the end. Like, Gamora's soul is inside that stone. Now, coming to my last point on the list. After that, I'll be done with the issue. I mean, I get it, but I would have preferred Black Widow and Okoye fighting one of the male members of the Black Order. Like, the whole fight, it happened 2 times. First, Proxima Midnight came to attack Wanda and Vision at their apartment, and then Black Widow fought her. And then Proxima Midnight fought Okoye and Black Widow in Wakanda. And it felt like a girl fight, like it's still a girl-on-girl fight. Which, okay, fine, these characters are powerful, but in a narrative sense, it felt like the whole trope being pushed that girls can only fight girls. Like, girl heroes can only fight female villains. Which felt like, oh no, don't do that. Have these ladies like fight a male member of the Black Order.
I actually agree with you on that point, because in that Wakanda fight scene, I actually remember thinking that and being like, this feels really weird to see just women fighting women. And I mean, I think I get what they're trying to do, is like showing that these females can be warriors and be villains, you know, like on different sides and stuff. I think I get why they did it, but it felt weird. It did.
I mean, once was okay when they did it, when Vision and Wanda were attacked in the beginning. That was okay, that when Captain America and Black Widow came to save them. But in Wakanda, they should have changed the encounters a bit. Like, have Proxima fight the Hulkbuster, and have Black Widow and Okoye fight that huge person from the Black Order, which the Hulkbuster defeated. It felt weird. It felt like a girl and girl fight, and it just felt weird when I was watching it in the theater. Like every other male character were fighting males, and these females are fighting, themselves off on the corner, and yeah.
Yeah, they have so few women in this movie, and they're just all in the little. It's like they're all on screen at once, basically.
You know, it would help having more women writing and directing these films, because there was an article recently that went through the diversity not only of the characters but of the writers as well. And I might be wrong on this, but I think there was only one woman who's written or directed, maybe two. I can't recall, but it's not many based on the list. So, maybe they should hire more women. Of course, that's going to change with Captain Marvel.
But Stephanie, then again, like men can also write good female characters.
That's true.
What was it? Wonder Woman was basically written by a man. He was a gay man, but he was a man. He wrote Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman was a very good film.
That's true that men can write quality women, but also having more female voices at the table in the production process would help point out some of these issues to the men who are writing it. Just bring them into the room can point some of these issues out. It would be great if that didn't happen. Yeah, hey, there you go. Not only were you promoted at the geekery, but now you can write for Marvel because half of them have been killed. Congratulations, Jamie, on your survival.
They need to do a better job with the female characters. They're just there to fill up a quota or something. Like, oh look, the MCU has female characters. They don't necessarily do anything, but they're there, so be happy about it.
Oh, these are real deep issues, guys. I don't know. It's a lot like the film right now.
Don't even get me started on the queer representation. Like, I wrote a whole article about it. I'm not going to watch part 2. I'm just going to wiki it when it comes out. But yeah, unless we gave the MCU 10 years to do something. And we gave them 18 or 19 films now. And still, I'm okay with franchises not having any queer representation. I'm okay with them. The Resident Evil franchise didn't have any queer representation. I liked that franchise. I watched every poorly written movie in that franchise. I watched it and I had fun. Okay, but the fact that they actually use queer characters like AO, and then they use Loki. The fact that they use these characters and then they keep them in the closet on screen, that's something that I have an issue with. Either don't give me such representation if you don't want to. That's your prerogative. That's your decision. But don't use these canon queer characters and keep them in the closet. Because apparently kids can't understand what sexuality means or whatnot.
I read an article, and I cannot recall, but apparently there was supposed to be a bisexual character in Thor Ragnarok, but they cut the scene that would have shown that. I cannot remember who it was supposed to be.
Valkyrie.
Yes.
Valkyrie's bi.
Mm-hmm.
And also that
they cut it.
Yeah, and they used Valkyrie. That's the point. They used Valkyrie. And then they also, the rock alien in Thor Ragnarok, what was his name? Who was made of all...
That one,
Reese Darby, his character.
He's queer too, but they didn't show that. And I'm like, you're making use of these characters, but you're okay with using them on screen, but you aren't okay with talking about them.
And interesting thing is, they have introduced queer characters into the MCU in general, but not in the movie franchises, because we have Runaways, which is technically MCU, even though it doesn't mention anything what's going on. So we have
Agents of Shield has queer characters.
Yep. See, so TV is fine apparently, but not movies. You got to cut those scenes in the movies
because movies need to make the big money. Like they need to make the billions and stuff like that. And the argument that kids can't understand queerness and stuff like that. I mean, okay, we all know about Ken dolls. And they don't have any genitalia, but children still look at Ken and they know that that's a man, okay? Because Ken likes to be represented as a man. Even Barbie doesn't have genitalia, and she still wants to be represented as a woman. And I'm like, if kids can understand that in dolls, they are capable of understanding when it comes to trans people. Like, what matters is how you want to identify as. It's the parents that have the problems. I'm like, little girls are okay with playing with Ken dolls, and they know that Ken is a man, but they can't really understand when an actual trans man comes in front of them. I'm like, what's happening, parents?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with international distribution as well. Disney's afraid to introduce LGBTQ plus characters for possible losses internationally, but I mean,
they can release.
It made like $1 billion without China.
I know it did. It made $1 billion, and China like didn't even really go see the last Star Wars film that much. It didn't make much money there at all. So
China doesn't care.
China doesn't care anymore.
I read somewhere that it's like Star Wars in China, like it doesn't have the same cultural resonance that it does other places. Like they tend to like more like actiony movies. But that is what I have.
Fareed has a good point too about different cuts for international audience, because like I can't remember which Iron Man film it was. It was either 2 or 3. Three. Yeah, they had like an entire additional scene put in with like a Chinese actor, so that the Chinese audience would like be like, oh.
Yeah, that actress who was Chinese, who was a scientist in Iron Man 3, they had more scenes with her in the China release of Iron Man 3. Like Disney has the money, they can do it. The point is they don't care and they don't want to do it. That's what I talked about in the article, because basically it's obvious that Disney and the MCU doesn't care. So I don't care either. I'll just Wikipedia all of the synopsis of the new films that come out. And if there's some sort of representation, then I'll go and watch it. Otherwise, it's been 10 years. I've had a fun run. You guys can go watch these films. I won't.
If Sebastian Stan is in them, I will watch.
I'll keep going. I'm an MCU person. Like, I'm not giving up this franchise anytime soon. But I agree that we need to do better. I mean, they are starting to do better in some areas. Like Black Panther was a huge step forward in that area, and then Captain Marvel will be a good step forward in that area. But LGBTQ representation in the cinematic portion of the universe is still lacking. So I agree, but I'm still going to go see all these films. So and it has its claws in me. I can't get away from it.
Very good, everyone. Now.
You good, Aaron?
I'm the timekeeper. Come on, guys. No, no. I think Jamie nailed what we're all thinking, and that is, if there's Bucky, we're gonna be there. So it's fine.
He's just very pretty, okay?
Well, when you guys were talking, I was trying to find this tweet that I saw yesterday. I thought I retweeted it, but I didn't. And it was like, it was a meme, and it was like Bucky, and he's all greasy and junk, and T'Challa's like, Steve's on his way. And so like the next thing you see is he's got his hair all washed and it's all fluffy and nice, and because he has to look good for Steve.
I mean, Bucky's hair in Infinity War, Bucky's hair was better than Black Widow's hair. Like, I don't know what mess Scarlett Johansson was wearing. That wig was funky. But Bucky's hair, like, it blew in the wind when they were, like, riding those.
I have friends that are like, oh, Bucky needs a haircut. And I'm like, you shut your mouth. That looks great.
He looked good. And but okay, so I actually do have a question. What was up with Black Widow's hair, because I mean, why the blonde? She's wearing a wig anyway. Why?
Apparently, it was Scarlett Johansson's decision. She wanted to change her look. Apparently, that's what I read online. So they had to do it.
Dang it! I thought.
Oh, did we lose Aaron?
Yep.
No. Well, we've lost our timekeeper. What are we gonna do? No,
Thanos took her. Thanos was like, there is no time.
He snapped. We lost her. And this is why we have the disclaimer about technical difficulties. Probably okay. What do we do now?
She's back. She's back.
Oh, there we go. Aaron,
what happened?
I don't know what happened. it just I was like, please don't stop the webcast.
I don't think it did. I'm pretty sure it's still going.
No, it's still going.
It's going. We're live.
I didn't do anything, so sorry about that.
You were talking about hair.
We were still talking about hair.
We are mainly in your absence because we don't know what to do without you.
No, we can move on. It's fine. Yeah. So, I mean, what worked out? What did we like so much about this? Why do you think it's gotten to be $1 billion?
I think it's gotten to be $1 billion so fast because nobody wants to be spoiled. Because everyone knows that this is a massive turning point in the franchise and nobody wanted to miss out on it. But as I was kind of mentioning earlier, if the goal was to emotionally devastate us, for me it worked. And I mean, despite all of its problems, the film stuck with me for days. Like, I had dreams about the movie. I'm consuming lots of fan fiction about the movie. I'm wanting to write some. And like, it's very much consumed me. So if that was its goal, emotional investment, well done. Like, it did it.
I mentioned this before, but I was like, I like, it was really funny. Thor had some of the best lines, and like, some of his jokes, at least in my theater, didn't even really land because they happened so fast and people didn't. But when they're like, oh, that's a made up word, he goes, all words are made up. Like, that was funny, and nobody laughed. And they really did a good job with Thor. I mean, he was kind of boring in the other ones. I actually haven't seen Ragnarok, so I'm really glad they kind of like recap that in the movie.
Ragnarok amazing.
I know. I have to wait till it comes on like Netflix.
It's the best Thor installment.
Because
the only thing I don't like about Ragnarok, the issue I have with Ragnarok is that they basically gave Thor Storm's power, and I was like, wow, why would you do that? They literally gave Thor Storm's power. They literally gave him that.
Oh,
I mean,
they're buying Fox, so maybe we'll get Storm in this. You never know. It could happen.
But yeah, like, Jamie, you need to watch Thor Ragnarok. It's a very comedic film.
I know. It's just Thor, and I'm waiting for it to come on like Netflix.
I know. I saw another article, speaking of Thor, about how Ragnarok not only is like the best film, but it added a lot of humor, and the Russo brothers specifically wanted to carry that humor over, and he was supposed to be a more serious character in the script. But after Ragnarok, they wanted to like change it a bit, or not. Maybe not them. I think actually it was Hemsworth that wanted to change it. And
I think Taika is that
yeah.
Taika Waititi.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Taika Waititi.
Yeah. I think he consulted on the script, or they had him. They talked to him about it to carry over that characterization, because it was such a hit in the like Ragnarok. Everybody says obviously was the best Thor movie. So
it is.
Well, and I've said this before, and I stand by it. I think that the reason the Marvel films do so much better than DC is because of the humor, and you know, if they can keep capitalizing on that, I think they'll continue that success. Because people
DC,
they don't want to be bummed out, you know? People want to like have fun when they're watching these comic book movies.
DC is in a very difficult position because DC characters aren't comedic. That's the point. Like Warner Bros. Is like literally sitting down and they're trying to come up with these films. They want their own universe, but they can't do it because the characters are serious.
Well, right, they take themselves too seriously. I mean, these are based on comics.
The animated Justice League was funny. Okay. Justice League Unlimited or whatever the cartoon was. I watched that. That was funny, and I.
Wonder Woman had some humor, but I have to admit I haven't seen every single DC film because I don't keep in touch or I don't keep up with them, and I really detest Superman. I'm sorry.
Wonder Woman was probably the funniest movie DC has ever put out. Like, and it was not really
intentionally funny. The most intentionally funny.
The upper lip issue was pretty funny, but it wasn't intended to be that way.
I mean, they tried to make Justice League funny, but it didn't work. They had Ezra Miller's Flash like fall into like Wonder Woman's cleavage as a joke, and it was bad. It was bad. They tried to do too much. They gave Aquaman this whole surfer bro attitude. It didn't work. It was bad.
So,
all right.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to ramble about Hall H and DC and Marvel, but that's off topic. Go ahead.
Oh, well, we can revisit Comic-Con at the end. But I'm thinking, like, let's talk about what's going to happen in part 2 or even before part 2. Like, because we do have Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out soon. There's one other film that's going to be Captain Marvel is coming out.
Both of these films take place in the past. Captain Marvel takes place in the 90s, apparently. And then Ant-Man and the Wasp takes place immediately after Civil War. So I can't remember how many years between Civil War and this. I think it's like 2 or 3.
I think they said 2.
2 years? Okay. So neither of the next 2 films are actually in the same time period. But of course, there's post-credit scenes that would catch them up. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, the next 2 films are just like, let's take a break from this ongoing story and go back in time a little bit. Okay, sure.
Because they can't deal with what happened they can't deal with what happened at the end until the next Avengers movie. I mean, they could. I don't think they should.
It would be weird. Like, Captain Marvel could have done it, but they're going to give her an intro before the second, well, technically 4th Avengers film, but the second Infinity War film, whatever it's going to be called.
I mean, that's my speculation, that I think that Ant-Man and the Wasp are going to discover the quantum realm in part 2, know more about it, and they're also going to go and rescue the previous Wasp, who's played by Michelle Pfeiffer. And then that quantum realm is going to teach Ant-Man and Wasp how to go into the realm where these characters who died in Infinity Wars are stuck. And while Ant-Man and the rest of the people are figuring that out, how to take them out of that realm, Captain Marvel is going to go and keep Thanos busy. Because apparently, according to Kevin Feige, Captain Marvel is going to be the most powerful Avenger we have seen yet.
I somehow completely missed the Michelle Pfeiffer news. Like, have I just been looking at
she's in the poster. It's not a spoiler. She's on the poster.
I missed that.
Yeah.
She's very little on the poster.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer is making a comeback. She's also in talks to star in Maleficent 2. Like, Michelle Pfeiffer is making a comeback.
I need to catch up on Ant-Man news. I haven't seen the first Ant-Man film.
I haven't either. It's fine.
Oops.
But yeah, Captain Marvel is going to go directly towards Thanos, and she's going to fight him. And Ant-Man is going to figure out a way how to get the heroes out of the quantum realm. That's my theory. That's my speculation. That's what's going to happen in part 2.
Yeah, I suspect common and strong theory. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that's going to happen because I want to see Captain Marvel and Thanos fight. I want to see a good hand-to-hand fight, not these lasers or whatever. A good hand-to-hand fight. The issue that I had with Wonder Woman was that the final fight was so boring. The final fight was so boring. It took me out of the film. I was like, I could have choreographed a far better fight, but it was so boring. But yeah, I want to see Thanos getting punched by Captain Marvel again and again and again until the gauntlet, like, it flies off his head.
Didn't it shatter?
Yeah, the gauntlet like
Shattered.
melted, or yeah.
I don't know. I was so emotionally devastated at that point. I can't remember all the details.
I don't think it shattered, but it like
it kind of fused or melted on his hand. Like it's a part of his hand now.
Okay.
Blame Thor for that. We need to blame Thor for that. But anyway, talking about Captain Marvel, did you guys see the behind the scenes pictures of her uniform?
It's
so bad.
I don't know.
Bad.
I think it looks good.
It's great.
Maybe they'll make. Yeah, it's great. Maybe they'll change it in post, but it looks so bad. Even her hair looks bad to me. I mean, Wonder Woman had great hair.
It is the 90s.
That's just the 90s, Fareed. That's just the
Yeah,
90s.
The 90s.
I mean, Wonder Woman had good hair.
But that wasn't the 90s. Yeah, the 90s is known
from
for
an
that.
island where it was. They didn't get the 90s.
Yeah, lucky them.
Kiara. I was like, if there's no crimped hair in Captain Marvel, I'm gonna call bullshit.
Bright, colorful scrunchies and like puffy bangs. It's
neon.
I don't know what 90s you guys are talking about, but
I guess like early 90s. I guess
Early
I'm
90s,
just trying to remember how I dressed when I was in like 4th grade, because that would have been like 92.
Late 90s, yeah. Early 90s was more 80s, obviously, and late 90s kind of started to shift. But yeah, early 90s.
Yeah, late 90s would have been like grunge, My So-Called Life, and flannel, and
that's kind of the time frame that I was thinking that this might, just based on the hair, because it's very Rachel, you know. So I was thinking more like maybe 96.
Yeah, I actually don't know when in the 90s it takes place. But
yeah, I don't think we do. It's just 90s. 1996 would be awesome because that's when I started high school. So,
you know, 90s is a weird time frame to take place. I mean, I understand why they're doing it because they need to like introduce her and then still have her like close enough in age for this film. Though I guess, does she become immortal? I don't know the Captain Marvel lore.
She ages very slowly.
Doesn't matter. Okay, but anyway, I can understand that, but the 90s are so recent that it's going to be like kind of jarring and very easy for them to slip up with like anachronisms. Like, I don't know. Anachronisms in film bother me so much. So I don't know. It's not far enough away. Like Captain America, it's far enough away that everything is different. So it's easy to just scrub the entire slate and make sure there are no anachronisms. But this, it's like 20 years ago.
Well, I like that Nick Fury had a pager. He had a pager.
That's true.
An 8-bit pager. That's pretty 90s.
That's very 90s, yes.
Yes. No, I think that now that we're like a week out, I think more people, maybe even most people, are kind of going along with that theory of that basically what you just explained, like that's what's going to happen. Maybe not exactly that way, but we're going to see these people again. We don't know, like, if it's going to be like a move back in time, or if it's going to be like more of just a continuation of the story. It's kind of hard to say at this point, but we're going to see these people again. They're not gone. Well,
what do you think is going to happen to the characters while they're stuck in the weird realm?
That's where the new movies are coming out from.
Maybe that's why they're keeping it. Maybe that's why they're keeping it so secret. Maybe the next film is like the Soul Stone, like the inside of the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
And that would be interesting because they apparently cast a older actress to play Ant-Man's daughter. they also apparently cast 2 twins. So the only 2 twins that matter in the Marvel comic book universe are Wiccan and Speed, who are Wanda's children. So maybe the Soul Stone realm is like a dream state where your perfect life is being shown to you or something. Maybe we'll get to see Wanda with her kids and Vision or something. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the person who is in the Soul Stone doesn't want to come out. That could be a thing.
Steve and Bucky happy together.
Yeah, but he's like, I don't want to come out. I'm living with Steve inside the Soul Stone. The Steve in the real world doesn't do much. He wouldn't even hug me in Infinity War. I mean, the moment those two met, I was like, let these two hug each other.
Because remember, Bucky got his hair all done and everything. So
got a brand new arm. Come on.
Yeah. Let him show off a little bit.
I see all these fandoms going, Stucky isn't real. Like, these two are from the army. They have this brotherly compassion and love for each other. And I'm like, if there was a brotherly love between these two would be hugging each other after meeting after 2 years. Like, they should have hugged. But yeah, even Disney is afraid to show even that. But yeah, are you excited for part 2? Because I'm not.
I'm really afraid. We couldn't have guessed. Didn't see that coming.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
The moment this film comes out on Thursday night, I'll go to Reddit and I'll just go through all the spoilers, and that will be enough for me. I made that article, that article that the Forbes person did about those spoilers? I'll write that. I'll write.
Yeah, they had like 10 threads on Reddit about this movie. Like, there were so many comments that they had to keep making threads for people to discuss about it.
I'll see it opening night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it just because I want to know what happens, and also I want to see Bucky, and also like I want to know what happened to Shuri, and I don't think we're gonna find out anything about Gamora in part 2. I think I think her story is going to continue into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think that's like probably I think that might be like the actual plot of that film. So
I'm excited because there's a theory that Hawkeye's family got dusted in the snap, and then he's gonna go all like super vengeance.
So they got fridge.
Yeah. Well, their existence. Oh, we lost Aaron again. But I always felt that their existence in Age of Ultron was just so that you would feel that you would worry that Hawkeye was going to die. Like, they serve no narrative purpose. And also that totally derails all of the Hawkeye Black Widow stuff that was going on before that. But whatever, I'm not mad about that still. Years later. She was wearing an arrow necklace. Come on.
Hawkeye is a player. He has a wife. He has kids, and he's flirting with Natasha. I mean, what are you doing, Clint? What are you doing?
I was going to say something, but now I can't remember. So you guys.
But I think, I think this is a good point to talk about what I was going to talk about earlier about Hall H, because for those who don't know, San Diego Comic-Con Hall H is the biggest hall, like the biggest room. It holds like 6,000 something people, and almost every year Marvel has a panel on Saturday, which is like one of the most popular things that people do, and they're not having it this year. They announced right before the movie came out, I think, that they're just not going to do Hall H. Which, first of all, congratulations to people who want to go in and see DC, because that's going to be like the only major thing in there that day. But also, that's kind of weird. We don't get a panel for Captain Marvel. Ant-Man comes out slightly before Comic-Con, and also that means they're really going to keep the title of the next installment of Avengers under wraps until the last minute, because you would think that Comic-Con would be a great place to announce what the title is, but with no panel.
Well, I think that they're probably going to make an announcement at D23 Expo. It's not stateside this year. They only do stateside every other year. I think it's in Japan this year. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I do think that they're probably going to focus more on D23 Expo than Comic-Con. And I do think it's like 100% just damage control. Like, I think they just don't want to interact with the fans. Like, they don't want that kind of confrontation. And you don't get that at Disney conventions. So
apparently D23 already took place, according to Dan in our comment section.
Oh, wow.
Oops. But so no one announced it there.
When is Avengers Infinity War 2 coming out?
Next
May.
Yeah, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So
I mean, Mark Ruffalo apparently would spoil it again.
Yeah, somebody get Mark on the phone.
Maybe that's why they're doing it.
Everyone tweet at Mark Ruffalo. Go.
Please say something.
Maybe they'll come to New York Comic-Con. I can dream, can I?
You never know. I mean, it's weird. I can't
The
figure
first
out what
Avengers
they're gonna do.
came. When they had the first Avengers, they had a panel at New York Comic-Con because I was in the 4th row. It was awesome.
Amazing. But yeah, like, with no panel, when are they going to announce what the movie's even called? Like, what is it called?
Robert Downey Jr. is going to announce it on Twitter,
Yeah.
like he did with the stupid release date. Ugh.
Oh.
That was so lame, by the way.
Yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Tom Holland.
I still remember that changing the dates, like The Rock didn't know what to do because Rampage was coming out, and then the comedian whose new film I Feel Pretty, what's her name?
Amy Schumer.
Yeah, she didn't know what to do either. Like, don't play dirty, Disney. Don't play. You already have enough money. Don't play dirty.
Yeah, that was, I mean, I wrote an article about that too. Like, they gave themselves 2 weekends before the next big movie comes out. Deadpool comes out, and then Solo comes out.
Solo.
Yeah, so that's how they got up to that $1 billion mark, was by giving themselves an extra weekend before they had any competition. So it works. But yeah, it is a little dirty.
Oh, Disney.
I mean, it would have made $1 billion anyway, probably.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have gotten there that fast, because they would have had a little bit of competition for 2 weekends in a row.
Sort of.
I consider Deadpool competition.
Oh, the Deadpool.
Are you dissing Solo? Which one are you?
No. Well, because I was just thinking of the movies that are coming out like this weekend, and I was like, that's not any competition.
No competition this weekend. So they gave themselves 2 weekends of just them. Just Avengers, like, because they made like 210 million opening weekend, and the next movie on the list made 10 million. Like, there's nothing there.
Well, and I think the second movie on the list had actually been out a while too, so that's not really a fair comparison.
I know.
Well, and I liked that last weekend was like Infinity War was #1, and then Black Panther was #5, and so there were still 2 films in the top 5, and that was, come on, Disney, yeah, you're doing great.
How much money do you want, Disney?
All of the money.
All of the money. All right, so let's take a turn here, and you need to, I'm putting myself on the spot here too. What is the next film going to be called?
I don't know much about the comics.
Soul Stone. I think it's Soul Stone.
Well, they can't call it Avengers Assemble because that's what the first Avengers was called in the UK. But it's got to be something tying back into the original 6, I would think.
Assemble Avengers.
Avengers, the sad tale of Bucky Barnes.
I was gonna say it's just gonna be Avengers Bucky loves Steve.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be amazing. If
That's why you don't
Would
want
you go
to
see that
announce
film? Would that bring you back in?
Quantum Zone. I don't know.
Infinity Forever or something. I don't know.
That's a little redundant.
Infinity War 2 to Infinity.
I mean, I'm not saying it's possible or not.
To Infinity too much. To Infinity too far. I don't.
Where is Gamora?
Why is Gamora? Why is Gamora?
Why is Gamora?
Why is Gamora?
One of the things that I really noticed watching Infinity War is that Disney had no idea that Black Panther was going to be a hit. While they were shooting Infinity War, they had no idea that Black Panther was going to be a hit. And it was so obvious when I was watching the movie. Like,
yeah, that they didn't write the characters with the idea that they would be so popular in mind.
My theater, now I live in Des Moines, Iowa, which is the Midwest of the US. It's not real diverse. But I went, and when all the people showed up in Wakanda, there was applause in my theater. Yeah. Like, people were so excited to go back there. And it was cool. It was a cool moment.
I mean, most of the audience in my theater was black because I live in Brooklyn. But same thing. I mean, and when T'Challa got dusted, everybody flipped out. It was because I'm reading online that everybody's like, people started, like, when they started disappearing, and everybody's like, my theater was silent. I'm like, dude, my theater was flipping out. I mean, yeah, there was no, because it was T'Challa, and then, like, immediately after that, it was Sam, and a guy a couple rows in front of me was like, why are all the black people disappearing?
Yeah, the girl next to me, like, did the Wakanda thing, like, in the theater while she was watching. Like, it's enormously popular, so, oops. But which is why those characters can't be permanently dead, because
there's
they
a
wiped
second Black
out.
Panther, so.
Well, yeah, but, like, T'Challa shouldn't be done yet. Like, he's only had one actual film.
Well, and he died. There was a death fake out in that too. So I mean, really, how many times can you fake out the death of a character?
I don't know. Ask Loki. He's pretty good at it.
Yeah,
9 times because he's a cat or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's a cat.
Oh, sweet. How long have you been sitting on that? Oh, that was good.
Oh, do you guys think Loki's actually dead? Because, like, Gamora could probably come back.
I think so. I know, I'm sorry.
I mean, the only way I think Loki coming back would be they recast a younger actor to play young Loki for Young Avengers. Because I think Tom Hiddleston is done with playing Loki. That's what I think. Because I think Tom is done playing Loki. He doesn't want to play it anymore. So they might have a young Loki in Young Avengers. Because Young Avengers is the next logical step for the MCU. And I'm really waiting to see if Disney will take that step, because the entire team is queer as heck.
Yay!
The entire team, everyone.
Fandom might not like anyone but Hiddleston playing Loki, but you get over it. I'm sorry. Like, I love Hiddles. Like, I call him Hiddles, for goodness sake. But
we're like this.
But it's still, like, if we want the franchise to continue, the actors can't continue forever at some point. I mean, sad but true.
Oh, Dan's theory for the the second Avengers is Electric Infinity Loop.
Avengers 2.
Avengers 2, Electric Infinity Loop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. Go.
Yeah. I am not sure that yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. You guys keep talking.
Just none of us are sure about anything.
Yeah, no.
I'm not sure is a good statement at this point.
It's comics.
Shrug
I
emoji.
mean, there's a I don't know the word I'm trying to think of, but it's like there's something in place that could bring Vision back. There's something that could bring Gamora back. So it's like, is anybody really dead in this movie? They have to kill somebody. Somebody's death has to be permanent. Because yeah, I mean, I feel that too. Probably Hawkeye.
Well,
He doesn't do anything. I love Hawkeye, but they need to do like Matt Fraction Hawkeye.
Comic Hawkeye is very good. I'm sorry. I am gonna have Hawkeye fans in my mentions on Twitter like, screw you.
And surprisingly, there are a lot of Hawkman fans. And not just the comic book Hawkeye fans, the actual MCU Hawkeye fans. And I'm like, he doesn't do anything. Why does he have so many fans?
I loved his introduction in Thor. That was a great introduction of him, and then they didn't do anything with him. And I read the comics, and I was waiting for that, and it didn't happen.
There was this meme on Twitter where it's like people are like, Hawkeye is important to the MCU, and someone posted the gif of Thor like, but is he really? And that person like was trashed in their mentions. Like their mentions were just like a bunch of angry Hawkeye memes. Like, sorry.
See, I want the Thor franchise to go on forever, and I want Hemsworth to play Thor forever. And I feel like you can't really have a Thor.
He probably will because his career isn't going anywhere.
Oh.
I mean, facts are facts.
He is the most successful Hemsworth brother, though. Westworld, we've got what Reddit calls budget Hemsworth.
Yeah, Luke Hemsworth is not real good, but that's fine. But can we really have Thor without Loki? Like, I don't know.
They haven't confirmed a Thor 4 yet, right?
No.
I don't think so. I would think that it was like it's at least I think 3 is the max solo films that they would do. Except for Avengers, of course, which is 2 parts.
I mean on the same budget. If Chris is coming back for Thor 2, he's probably going to ask for more money, and Disney might not give him that. Because they paid Gal Gadot only like $50,000 for Justice League, and that's nothing.
God. That's terrible.
Because they had it signed on.
She's the only reason anybody saw Justice League.
Pretty much.
But that's the contract. Like it's very possible that Hiddleston has been doing Thor 1, 2, 3, and Avengers on the same pay scale.
Yeah.
But now that their contracts are up, this is where Disney will have to decide if Disney is going to go forward with Thor 4 or another Captain America movie, because now the actors are going to ask for more money. And that's probably not going to happen. Because that was the reason we didn't get X-Men 4 or X-Men 5. Because Haley was like, I need 10 million. And even Hugh Jackman wanted more money. That's why they decided not to do X-Men films, and they did those X-Men First Class and solo Wolverine films.
I mean, it would make sense to roll over to the new characters at this point. Because we've already, yeah. Like,
I was going to say we need another Captain America movie because we didn't have a third Captain America movie. We had an Avengers 2.5.
That's true. Captain America Civil War was very much an Avengers.
I mean, Disney has money. He can give these actors as much money as they want. But Disney is a greedy mouse. And you aren't going to get Thor 4 unless, I guess, Chris Hemsworth. I mean, Disney is probably happy that Chris Hemsworth's career is failing. Because now he might not ask for more money for Thor 4.
Okay.
Who knows?
I'm just
So
gonna throw this
angry
out.
Hemsworth fans, tweet for Reed.
Let's face it. Being part of the MCU doesn't do wonders for your career. Even the actor, who's he? Luke Evans, who plays Captain America?
Chris Evans.
Oh, Chris Evans.
Like Chris Evans, even he isn't doing anything with his career. Like being part of the MCU, you might get a good back-end deal. Like Robert Downey Jr. was very smart. He made millions because of the MCU, because of the back-end deal that he has. But the rest of the characters, like Mark Ruffalo's career is like literally over. Chris Evans isn't doing anything. Like even
Chris Evans is currently on Broadway right now.
But he isn't doing anything. If he had a $1 million film, he would be doing the film instead of Broadway.
Broadway's pretty important.
But he can do Broadway because he has the Avengers money.
Yeah,
that's the point. That's what
Broadway's
Hugh Jackman
not
says.
nothing. Broadway's pretty important. It's.
I mean, that's what Hugh Jackman. That's what Hugh Jackman says. Because even Hugh Jackman isn't getting any roles. I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, even Chadwick Boseman hasn't gotten anything after Black Panther.
Thank you. I just wanted to throw this out there. Maybe we can do this. Maybe since Tom Hiddleston is done and there won't be any more Loki, we can just transport Thor into Guardians of the Galaxy since he did so well there, and then he's just there and making fun of Rabbit Rocket and like just being fun and muscular, and it would just be like Star-Lord and Thor just being like, who's the better alpha male, you know? And
obviously Thor. Obviously Thor. Like
Star-Lord, a pirate and an angel had a baby.
But
he's a man-child. Like Star-Lord is a man-child. Thor is a man.
It's like, no, you're a dude. He is a man. A handsome man.
Yeah.
Like if a pirate and an angel had a baby. I like that.
I would definitely be all for that. I would be for that. Yes, please.
Yes.
All right. Do we have any last thoughts? I mean, we're doing okay on time, I guess. We're doing an hour and a half now. I don't know.
I mean, it's a special. We had feelings.
Yeah.
We had a lot of feelings. We had a lot of issues.
We did have a lot of feelings, and you know, I think overall it was a good movie. We all liked it. We all admit there were some problems. My cat is making an appearance now.
My cat's making an appearance too.
My cat's not. She's over there.
I have my door locked because I don't want my cat making an appearance.
My cat's behind the camera.
Cats making appearances on our webcast is kind of our thing, so it's fine. Yeah. Okay. So we already talked about what our. Yeah, I think we're good. Are we good?
I mean, it was a good film, and
Jamie's got
Jamie, I've talked a lot.
No, it's okay. I need to pay tribute to the scene where Thor lightnings down into Wakanda and just is there with the axe and Rocket and Groot, because that was like the best scene. Like that was my theater really enjoyed that. There was a lot of cheering when that happened.
Thor is just the best. I just love him.
So
okay, we all love Thor. Give him a part 4. Chris, if they ask you for Thor 4, don't ask for more money. You won't get it.
Bruce is now officially part of the webcast.
I mean, there are some actors that can just make a career out of one character, and it's totally fine. And if Chris Hemsworth, if all he ever does again is Thor, I'm totally fine with that. I'm very supportive, you know. Get the money, make the Thor, it's fine.
That's fine with me.
Do Comic-Con appearances, make more money when you're retired and attend Comic-Cons. Like, that's a good life.
I agree.
That's a very good life.
It works for the supernatural dudes. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, now we're really gonna get hate tweets.
That's fine. Okay.
They're not watching.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. Okay. So I think we'll wrap this up then. And we'll see what happens during San Diego Comic-Con. As you know, like Angel, Jamie, and I will be there. Tara and Kai will also be there. And so we'll get you the inside info.
Dan will be there too.
Oh yeah,
he's not on the webcast.
Yeah,
he's a new contributor to our website. So.
Yeah. So we'll continue to speculate and continue to retweet Bucky memes, and it'll all be good. So I'm Erin, again here with Angel, Jamie, Fareed. Thank you for joining us for our special Infinity War. Oh, and Bruce is waving too. That was funny. Thanks for joining us for Feelings with the Geekiary. Remember, we're a free webcast run off of donations from viewers like you. Thanks for contributing and helping our host site, the Geekiary. And we will have our regularly scheduled Feelings actually coming up this coming Thursday. We pushed it back a little bit. So I'm sure you can hear Tara and Vaughn say some other things as well. So we'll see you in a few days. Bye.
Bye.